Yo, what's up guys? Welcome to 13 minutes of useless League of Legends information, episode 39. Don't forget to subscribe if you enjoy, and now let's jump into things. Okay, did you know that the fountain on ARM only has true sight on one side of the map? In other words, if you get the top side of the map, you can actually sit in the bottom side of the fountain with any invisibility. But if you try the other way around, you'll get killed. So yeah. Sounds about right. Did you know that there is a hidden sign out button in the League of Legends client right below the actual exit button? There is a small hitbox right below the circle that if you click it, it will sign you out instead of exiting. So if you're ever wondering why you feel like you're accidentally signing out of the client instead of exiting it, that's probably why. Quick question, did anyone here watch VGHS or Video Game High School when they were younger and just wish that there really were high schools out there that revolved around gaming? Well, there kind of are, in Korea at least. In fact, Kingin from Damwon plus Kia is one of those players who actually went to one of these schools or academies. Nowadays, as esports continues to grow more and more video game high schools are popping up around Korea. And even though it's a more conservative country, they're starting to realize that this is a real career path, so more doors are starting to open up. One of these high schools, for example, is called Korea Game Science High School, and a few of the majors that they offer here range from arcade major to an esports major, where they offer games like League, Valorant, Overwatch, and PUBG. They also offer a few more standard majors as well too, like graphic design and programming. Still, just like you might expect for a gaming school, time is set aside specifically for students to practice, learn, and study and just get better at games in general. They even have curriculum and gaming textbooks that they have to study, like this one, for example, that just talks about the game, different spells, the history, esports, strategies, and pretty much everything gaming and League of Legends related. I tried to include the translation too in case you wanted to read it. There's also, of course, assigned homework too, which can range from memorizing everything about the game to being assigned a certain amount of footage to watch back and take notes on. Honestly, a part of me thinks that their finals revolves around making some sort of mathematically correct build, and that's why we see all these insane new Korean builds pop up. Anyways, needless to say, esports is slowly taking over, and it's even starting to gain some traction in the US too, as a lot of schools are even starting to offer scholarships for colleges too. So pretty crazy. Speaking of esports and video games, did you know that there's actually a tablet out there now specifically for gaming, and it's actually kind of crazy. This is the Red Magic tablet, the sponsor for today's video, and it is honestly really insane and really cool what this thing can do. I was actually thinking about getting an iPad for the longest time, but this is pretty much the perfect substitute because not only can I still do work on it, but I can also flawlessly play any game I want. I mean, look at this thing. This thing is a unit. For example, Wild Rift runs perfectly on this. It feels really smooth and really comfortable as well, and you can even take it a step further because you can split screen on it too. You can literally watch Worlds or some show while you're playing, which is honestly so freaking cool. Like, I'm a double monitor person on PC, so my ADHD is very grateful for this. There's really no limit to what game you can play on here too. Plus, this thing is decked out. I mean, this thing has a fan on the back as well as RGB lights. It even has its own cooling system. It is easily one of the coolest tablets that I've seen or used, and the performance on it, of course, is insane too. I mean, look at these specs. It is seriously worth checking out if you're a gamer, which is you, if you're literally watching this video, or you just need a tablet. So seriously, make sure to use my link in the description. Check out the tablet. You will not be disappointed. All right, thanks guys, and now back to the video. Have you ever wondered who the most attractive woman in League of Legends is? Yeah, probably not, but I'm going to tell you anyways. This person did a poll asking thousands of people, and these were the results. Ari was voted the most attractive, getting 12.45% of the votes, with Miss Fortune right behind at 12.29%, and Kaisa was in third at 9.65%. The results were also the same with multiple choice option voting, where Ari received a vote from 72.33% of all voters. They also separated the results by the ethnicity of the people who voted, as well as sexual orientation, so I'll just scroll through real quick, so feel free to pause at any time. Overall, kind of interesting, but also honestly not too surprising from what we've seen in past polls like this. Not too long ago, Riot released an official chart showing the most popular roles in League for each region and what people typically queue up for. And to no surprise, jungle and support were the least popular for most regions. But what's really interesting is in China, jungle is the second most popular role, even over mid lane. And over in Korea, ADC has the highest pick rate out of any of the other regions. This is probably one, they're a bit better mechanically, and two, the most popular supports over there are all heavy peel and tank support champions, unlike other regions like NA, where people typically play more aggressive style champions. Have you ever wondered which game has the smartest players and highest IQ? Well, there was a company who surveyed just over 1,000 gamers, and these were the results. It turns out somehow League of Legends players have the highest IQ at an average of 120.4, which is actually pretty impressive. And following close behind was Black Myth Wukong at 119.8, and then Baldur's Gate 3 at 117.8. But the game in last place with the lowest average IQ was FIFA players having an average of 89.8, with Rocket League players being pretty close behind too. For context too, anything between 85 and 115 is considered pretty average intelligence, and anything below 85 is considered below average, while anything above 115 is considered above average. So good job League players, I guess. All that ranked solo queue grinding is finally paying off. On top of those results, they also found out that PC players have the highest average IQ among all consoles, and that girl gamers have a higher IQ than guys. Alright, to put into perspective how big League is in Korea, even the new World song popped up on one of their biggest news stations for a segment just talking about how they were disappointed on how much it focused on Linkin Park instead of T1. China also gave it the worst rating ever on Hoopu at 3.2. They are a little bit biased though, depending on how well they did that year at Worlds, but honestly overall I don't think the World song was that bad. It was just more of the animation that was rough, but yeah, moving on. Did you know that Yumi's Q is a play on a cat chasing a mouse? Additionally, another fun fact is the name Heimerdinger is a combination between Oppenheimer and Schrodinger. Did you know that according to Riot, players who return to ranked after coming back to the game have a 46% win rate on average? That is pretty rough. And speaking of 46% win rates, they also mentioned how new players with brand new accounts also have a 46% win rate on average when starting off, though they are looking to improve that in the future. Did you know that in Sofia, Bulgaria, there's actually a 30-foot high graffiti of Dr. Mundo on a power plant cooling tower? The graffiti was done as a part of a marketing campaign in 2013 for a tournament that was taking place then. Honestly, the dedication is pretty impressive. But after all, I guess Mundo goes where he pleases, and apparently this time it was on a power plant. Did you know that under the description of the new Anniversary skin, it says right anniversary pinged enemies are missing, and the timestamp is 10/27, which is also a reference to when League was released on October 27th. Did you know that League of Legends was actually released on Steam about 12 years ago? Riot released a digital collector's edition there for $20 and was initially planning to use Steam as one of the main platforms for the game. That is until they decided they wanted to make their own client instead and stay separate from Dota. It was estimated too that only around 3,000 people actually ended up downloading the game on Steam too, so if you're one of them, congratulations, I guess. There's a site out there called Dodge Tracker that actually tracks how many people dodge in Masters games and above. This is literally useless to 99.9% of players, but it's also kind of interesting to look at. For example, last split, this dude on the EUW server ended up dodging 139 times. And if he lost 5 LP for each dodge, that would mean he lost 695 LP from just dodges alone. Honestly, that's kind of impressive. This dude has CMD, which is congenital muscular dystrophy, and he explains how he still plays League, which is by putting a mousepad against his stomach and clicking against himself. And if that wasn't impressive enough, this dude also plays Katarina in Diamond. I mean, it makes me start to think that it might not be my teammates holding me back after all. But seriously, this is some really impressive stuff. Before a recent update, Riot shared data on autofills saying that before the update, on average, 10 to 15% of all games had 2 or more autofilled players in them, which is crazy. That's roughly 1 in every 7 games. On the bright side, they said that it's now down to less than 0.1%, but it's crazy that this was the norm for so long. Still, I'm happy to see them finally making some changes, so good job, Riot.
As of today, games with 2-0 or 3-1 autofill players have been effectively eliminated.
Yo, puppy, subscribe and thank you. Did you know that Jinx almost had an ult where her missile, or actually missiles, homed in onto her targets?
Well, the craziest thing I tried was this seeking missile that whenever she would fire it, it would split into 5 different bombs, and each bomb would find an enemy on the map and shoot at them. And ideally it would hit, although it could miss, unlike, say, Karth Assault. This spell didn't feel very good to cast and had these ridiculous situations where Jinx would cast it to kill her 2 bot laners and then accidentally kill the jungler instead. It was not great, but kind of funny when it worked.
Smolder's dance is a reference to the old Disney movie Oliver and Company. If you look at the description for Zyra's thorn spitters, it says they shoot little friendliness pellets at her enemies, which is a reference to Undertale. Here's a really random fact that this person figured out, and that was for the last 5 years, the team that eliminates the LPL's 3rd seed from Worlds becomes the world champion, which is actually kind of crazy that it's been that consistent. This year's 3rd seed from the LPL was LNG, so in order for this to continue, Weibo is going to need a win, which isn't likely, but I suppose is possible. I mean, they do have a buff now, I guess. With Deft and Jensen not making Worlds this year, Faker is now officially the player with the most Worlds appearances at 9. You know, just to add to his legendary resume even further. He also won 4 out of 8 of them, meaning he has a 50% win rate at winning Worlds, which is honestly even more ridiculous. Not to brag though, I got a 50% win rate in my games too, so we're pretty much the same. Anyways, now we'll just see if this streak can continue. I mean, it'd be even more ridiculous to have over a 50% win rate at winning Worlds. You might have seen this post floating around Reddit recently, but in case you haven't, it was figured out that the way the Swiss stage was set up, if there were 8 professional teams and 8 teams comprised of literally monkeys, then statistically speaking, one of the monkey teams should make it out 53% of the time. In this case, that would be FlyQuest. After all, when you look at their road getting into brackets, it's pretty clear that they took the monkey road, not needing to get a single win over the LCK or LPL. That said, I will say the Swiss stage is still way better than the old format because at least now you're not getting groups of death. And if you're interested in testing these theories out for yourself, this dude also made a world simulator that you can run. So yeah, feel free to check it out if you want. Did you know that every pro player on stage is listening to white noise in their ear when they're playing so they don't hear anything from the crowds to gain any extra information or advantage?
When you put that headset on as a pro player, this is what you hear. I'm not even kidding, that's what you hear. It's to stop it so you can't hear any sounds from the crowd. You have soundproof headsets and you have that noise.
Speaking of pro players, did you know that Doinby received a 7-day ban on the Korean server a few days ago from just posting timestamps? After he said, "I've played this game for 10 years and this is the first time I've gotten banned for recording time. I'm going to in front of Korean Riot's gate. Send me the address."
930 mid 940 AD 11 mid TP 1030 jungle 1220 TOP 1220 TOP 1440 MID TP mid TP. Sorry.
A few days ago, there was a bug going around allowing players to jump from Iron all the way to Masters in one game. For some reason or another, people were gaining thousands of LP off a single win, instantly promoting them to Masters, like in this clip where the dude gained 2,896 LP. The crazy thing is, it didn't even put you in a Masters lobby after, it just kind of kept you in Iron, but you could still gain LP. With the new honor system out now, have you ever wondered why some games you only get 1 to give out and then others you get 4? Well, this is the reason why. Similar to ARAM roles, you get 1 honor per game that you can give out, and you can bank up to 4. You also get +1 for players with high honor levels, as well as +1 if you got an honor in the last game. I'm sure you've heard by now that Riot is going to be releasing the new Exalted skin, and while they say you can get it as an early drop if you're lucky, someone did the math and figured out that over 2/3 of the people won't actually get the skin drop before they pay 32,000 RP, or about $250. They even plotted this graph as well, but dang, it's pretty crazy how expensive skins are getting now. I mean, you could basically go out and buy a Switch with that kind of money. This is kind of interesting. So now that Teemo got updated, the original artist of the original Teemo splash art has finally come forward. He said that he created the Teemo artwork when he was just an intern and that this was actually his first project that he ever did. He even shared some of his sketches that he did 12 years ago of the splash art, as well as finally clarified what the BC meant on top of the scroll, which stood for Brilliant Colors, the code name for the company Massive Black. Also, I have to say, even though the old Teemo is always going to be nostalgic, his new laugh, dance, and joke animations are pretty freaking troll. They're definitely going to be tilting people, that's for sure. Especially the music one. There's recently a bug that allowed people to pretty much do everything to minions, like heal them, shield them, or even ult minions with Zillion. Ironically, you could actually do some of those things a long time ago, like heal them, but it's crazy a bug like this can just pop up randomly. This has got to be the most crazy timing on ulting the Drake I've ever seen. This guy poppy ulted at the perfect frame to make it seem like the Drake went flying from the ult, but in reality, it was a different kind of dragon that got hit. Even after watching it back a few times, it still trips me out. The timing is just too good. And lastly, here's a baby elephant, because why not? Alright, if you have any useless info, feel free to send it to outsidejokelol@gmail.com. Thank you so much for watching. Please consider subscribing, and I will see you next time. Bye. Yo, once again, a ginormous shout out to all my incredible, amazing, seriously amazing supporters and patrons. You guys are literally helping me keep my dream alive. It seriously means more than you'll ever know. So thank you guys so freaking much. A huge shout out to Wolf for being a tier 3 patron, Gooseman for being a tier 2 patron, and We Have for being a patron, and Hagel for being a member. Seriously guys, thank you so much, and I will see you next time. Peace.